Assalamu alaikum everyone. My name is Rumesa Kazi, and today we're going to be discussing how to do an effective literature search for any research study that we are interested in. This is a relatively simple topic, and most of us do know what it essentially means, but there are some technicalities that we need to focus on, and I hope that in this session you're going to gain something out of a relatively simple presentation. So let's just dive right in. So on this slide, you can see the definition. I'm sure most of you do know about this. It's basically when, for example, you have a research topic where you want to see the effect of a certain drug on a certain disease, right? So you want to go and look at the previous research and see what information do you have regarding that drug, regarding that disease, and that's why you'll do a literature search. And whatever new ideas and concepts you're going to be writing in your research, you are going to need pre-existing information. So that's why you're going to do a literature search. And you're going to use either official peer-reviewed studies or you're going to use gray literature. It really depends. And we'll talk about what both these types of literature mean in a while. But essentially, that's what a literature search is. So why do we even need a literature search? It's because, like I said, we need pre-existing information to create new information, right? And sometimes the topic that we are interested in, sometimes it has been studied before and there's no need for it. So suppose you're working on something and it already has been researched on extensively, for example, COVID, right? So COVID is something that has been researched on extensively, and now maybe if you have something related to COVID and you want to work on it, it's going to be a bit monotonous and you might not get accept your research might not get accepted into journals. So it's very important to do a literature search so that you know what the research that you want to do, is it even a good contribution in the medical world right now. So there are some things that you use to conduct a literature search, and we're going to be discussing everything in detail. And like these four elements, they're the tools that we do to do literature search. So I'm sure most of you have heard of PubMed, you've heard of Google Scholar, you've heard of Cochrane Library. So these are some examples of search engines. Then mesh terms. What do mesh terms mean? It just means medical subject headings, and we're going to discuss what that is. It's a very cool thing. And Boolean operators is just and, or, and not. I think some people with a computer science background, they must know about this. It's very simple. And then there's filters. So we're going to talk about why we even need filters. So filters are something that if you've ever opened PubMed, you see them on the left side of the screen. And for example, if you're just interested in researches conducted in 2020, so you can just, like filter out all this research is done in that year, and it just makes your life better. Technology makes your life better. So, what type of search engines do we have? We have PubMed and we have Medline, which is managed by NIH in America. Then we have Google Scholar and we have Cochrane, like I mentioned, and we have Park Medinet. And these search engines are basically huge databases with millions of papers, right? And they are mostly like authentic, and there are separate search engines and databases for gray literature, which is unofficial, not peer-reviewed literature, and I'll tell you about those as well. But essentially, I hope you understand what a search engine is. And most of us have heard of PubMed, right? That's what most of us do use. Even though other databases exist, but PubMed is essentially your go-to database. So this is a slide where you can see what PubMed looks like. And let's go ahead. This is what Google Scholar looks like. So mesh terms. Mesh terms are basically When you, for example, I'll give you guys a topic, incidence of commonly reported complications in artificial disc replacement, right? तो अब जैसे इसमें कॉम्प्लिकेशंस के लिए कोई और वर्ड जो भी सिनोनिम्स पबमेड इस्तेमाल कर सकता है फॉर आर्टिफिशियल डिस्क रिप्लेसमेंट, जो भी पबमेड के पास डिफरेंट सिनोनिम्स होंगे वो उनको जनरेट करेगा एंड इट्स गोना मेक your life easier by basically bringing all the literature relevant to whatever keywords you've typed in the search bar. So on this slide, we basically are showing you a research paper and इसका नाम आप इधर देख सकते हैं. Does this adult patient have early HIV infection? And it's basically a systematic review. तो जब भी आप सर्च करेंगे ना ये आपको एंड यू क्लिक ऑन द टाइटल तो आपको ना एक एब्स्ट्रैक्ट दिखेगा. एब्स्ट्रैक्ट बेसिकली आपका जो जब आपके पास टाइम नहीं हो और आपको बस जल्दी से देखना हो सारी इंपॉर्टेंट इन्फॉर्मेशन इन अ रिसर्च पेपर तो एब्स्ट्रैक्ट में वो सब लिखा होता है. इट हैज़ द ऑब्जेक्टिव, इट हैज़ द बैकग्राउंड, इट हैज़ whatever results were generated, and it has a conclusion so that you can just quickly see what the results were and you're like, okay, this is the drug, it is having an effect on a certain disease or it's not having an effect. It just makes your life easier. So I hope everyone understood what an abstract is. Then again, here you can see some, you can even put comments down, and yeah. So mesh terms, like we talked about, they're basically synonyms, right? So here you can basically click on either term and it's going to basically show you other synonyms for this term. And for example, breast cancer, right? So how can you express breast cancer in different synonyms in different ways? So there could be breast tumor, there could be mammary cancer, there could be mammary tumors, and PubMed is basically going to help you, like broaden your search using mesh terms. So that's what mesh terms are basically. So usually when you type in the search bar, you're going to say breast cancer, right? तो इसका mesh term क्या होगा? Neoplasms. It's a more tricky term. It's a more medical term, right? So PubMed understands that most people will be using layman terms, and it's gonna help you broaden your search by having these subject headings already in its database. Then again, Latinos, Hispanic American, there's other synonyms as well which aren't listed here, but you get the idea of mesh terms, right? Then here you can see if we search bariatric surgery, it's going to give you a lot of suggestions if you want to go towards complications, if you want to see the effect on pregnancy, etc. So if you want mesh terms, you go here, you click on the drop down bar and you click mesh. And here you click this option, restrict to mesh major topic. Okay. So Boolean operators is a very simple concept. I'll just go over it again. Suppose that I want to research on travel एंड टूरिज्म एंड आई वांट टू सी कि दोनों का मुझे जो भी डाटा मुझे निकालना है उसमें दोनों ट्रैवल भी होना चाहिए और टूरिज्म भी होना चाहिए. सो आई एम गोना यूज एंड बिकॉज आई वांट researches which have both the elements, but sometimes I want research which has only travel or only tourism or both. Like I don't really care if they are together or not. I just want them either individually or together. So I'm going to use or. So that's the difference between and or. And then sometimes I don't want any travel term or any travel data and I just want tourism or vice versa. So if I just want travel, I'm going to write travel and then in capital I'm going to write not and then tourism. And sometimes you could have three variables, right? So travel, tourism, and web. So if I want travel or tourism, but it's okay if I have like either only travel or tourism, but I definitely need web in my data. So I'm going to basically put a bracket and I'm going to put travel or tourism. Like it's okay if I just have travel data or tourism or both combined and then and outside. So this is a bit tricky to understand initially, but once you get the concept behind it, it's going to be easy. And then the last example that we have is where we want travel and tourism, but we don't want the word tourist in our data, right? So again, three elements. You take the two elements which you both want, you put it in a bracket, and then the thing that you don't want, you basically put not and then that term. So when you go on PubMed, right, you're going to see like on the left side, you're going to see like a lot of filters. It's gonna help you select like a year interval. So if you want things from 2015 to 2020, so it's gonna let you have that period of data only. Or maybe you want only systematic reviews. You don't want to see any case reports, or you don't want to see like proper meta-analyses. So you can basically use filters to help narrow down the results that are relevant to your question. So this is what I was talking about. Here you can see sometimes you don't want to pay for research article, so you can even select free full text, because you just why waste your time trying to open uh, like papers which you have to pay for. But okay, I'm gonna sidetrack a bit here. You can always use Sci-Hub. You can just go on a paper that you have to pay for. You copy the DOI of that paper and you put it in Sci-Hub, and almost 95% of the time you're gonna get the whole free paper. So Sci-Hub is a great resource. Try to use that. And again, if you just want like RCTs, you don't want any systematic reviews, you can just click on that and it's just gonna start showing you like RCTs only. Publication date as well. So if you want to do like an advanced search, you go on the advanced search builder and you basically select the drop down option and you click on mesh terms. So here we have an example topic, and we're going to discuss what the mesh terms for this will be and how we're going to search, do the literature search for this. And I hope you guys understand mesh terms by now and how to, use brackets, how to use Boolean operators. So the topic is impact of coronavirus on healthcare professionals, and it is a multi-central cross-sectional study. So it's been conducted across multiple centers. It's not a single center study. Then you have what are the mesh terms for this? Like, how else can you express coronavirus? You can use COVID-19, you can write SARS-CoV-2, you can write coronavirus. There's other there's other synonyms as well that you can use to broaden your search. And healthcare professionals, you can write healthcare workers, you can write maybe doctors, you can write practitioners, right? So mesh terms are basically synonyms. Then you put all the similar terms in one bracket. You take COVID-19, you take SARS-CoV-2, you take coronavirus, and you write or, because they essentially mean the same thing, right? COVID-19, SARS-CoV-2, coronavirus. You can have either of them, and that will be great. You don't need a research paper with all these terms. किसी एक में भी COVID-19 हो, COVID-2 हो, तो आप use कर सकते हैं उसे. So that's why we use or and not and. So I hope everyone understands the difference between or and and. फिर उसके बाद आपने ब्रैकेट में कर लिया. अब आपको एंड यूज़ करना पड़ेगा बिफोर हेल्थ केयर प्रोफेशनल्स, बिकॉज आपको वो डेटा चाहिए जिसमें कोविड की भी बात हो रही हो और हेल्थ केयर वर्कर्स प्रैक्टिशनर्स की भी बात हो रही हो, तो अब एंड इस्तेमाल होगा. ठीक है. तो और एंड को समझना इज़ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. And brackets work just as they do in arithmetic operations. So I know med students don't like math usually, but some of us do. तो board mass हमने पढ़ा हुआ है, उसमें क्या होता है, we we basically use brackets to specify one or mathematical operation and then बाकी जो भी बाहर हो रहा होता है, तो division के लिए हम brackets लगा देते हैं कि भाई पहले ये करना है and then बाकी बाहर का करना है. So you guys can use this as a practice search strategy using Boolean operators. Boolean operators just a fancy term for and or not. And we have a topic here, safety and efficacy of colchicine in COVID-19 patients. So इधर आप क्या करेंगे, आप colchicine के लिए mesh terms ढूंढेंगे वो, ठीक है, and COVID-19 के लिए mesh terms हम discuss कर चुके हैं, and safety and efficacy के लिए भी you're gonna think of synonyms. So I would suggest कि you pause the video and then go on the next slide. Once you've like kind of made up a search strategy, and then you look at this. So colchicine, because it's a very specific drug name, there's usually not going to be a mesh term for it. And colchicine, you put it in the bracket, you put it in quotation marks, then you write and. Then you write COVID-19 or COVID-19 vaccines or COVID-19 serotherapy or COVID-19 nucleic acid testing, meaning that you basically all these terms 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So, do you see how good this search is? Because it's basically saying that I want all paper articles which have either of these terms. And look at all these terms, they're all related to just talking about COVID, right? So, COVID can be expressed in different research papers in a lot of ways, and it's going to help you not miss out any data which is relevant to your question. And I think this is the end of the presentation. Thank you guys. I hope you understood most of the stuff, but I actually need to tell you guys some cool stuff that you can do. I'm so sorry, I forgot to tell you, but so there's this thing known as truncate terms, which is basically when you put an asterisk after a specific term. So, for example, you want to write the word mimic. अब आपको पता नहीं है कि कितने तरीके से एक्सप्रेस हो रहा है वो रिसर्च में, राइट? तो आप बस मिमिक के बाद एस्टेरिक लगा दो, तो वो सारे टर्म जिसमें मिमिक है ना उसको वो एक्सप्रेस करेगा, मिमिकिंग, मिमिकर, वट एवर जो भी होगा उसमें। तो इट वुड रियली हेल्प यू इफ़ यू यूज़ दैट। फिर उसके बाद कभी कभार ये होता है कि स्पेलिंग्स में मसला होता है, जैसे Americans spell things differently, British people spell differently. We're basically using English, so I'm just going to talk of these two countries. And उसमें क्या होता है, जैसे behavior की spelling, कुछ लोग behavior में you डालते हैं, कुछ लोग behavior में you नहीं डालते। अब आपको नहीं पता author British है या American है, तो आप क्या करें, आप बिहेवियर लिखें, BEHAVIO, और फिर आप क्वेश्चन मार्क डाल दें और आर। तो इस तरह क्या होगा, वो सारे जो डाटा में बिहेवियर की सारी स्पेलिंग्स, बिहेवियर अमेरिकन स्पेलिंग भी और ब्रिटिश स्पेलिंग भी, उसको सबको वो ले आएगा, तो आप मिस आउट नहीं करोगे ऑन रेलिवेंट सर like things. I think we've covered everything. I hope this was helpful. I hope you got something out of a relatively simple topic, and thank you.